The Treaters. These entities are the newest addition to Doors in their Halloween update, and man are they interesting. You've likely already come across these 2D creatures throughout your playthrough of the new Trick or Treat game mode. I mean, it's kind of hard not to, as they are found quite literally everywhere. As I'm sure you all know, these entities can be found in houses all throughout the new game mode, and when interacted with, they'll either give you a treat in the form of candy, or give you a trick in the form of a jump scare. Now, although they may seem simple at first, these creatures are incredibly complex, and their lore is just as intriguing. Today, I'm going to be exposing the secrets of the Treaters in Doors, as well as just explaining what is actually going on with them. We have got a lot to discuss today, so with all of that being said, let's begin. Alright, so in order to understand the Treaters, we must understand where they came from. Upon playing through the Halloween version of the Outdoors for this event, you may be asking yourself, how does this fit into the rest of the story? After all, we already have the normal Outdoors. Why is it so different now and Halloween themed? Well, the game actually gives us an explanation as to why this is the case. Essentially, the Trick or Treat game mode takes place in an alternate reality, where the World Lotus is replaced by the World Pumpkin, likely a giant invasive pumpkin, similar to how the World Lotus works. We don't actually ever get to see the World Pumpkin in this update, however, we may see it in the future, so keep that in mind. Anyways, this is where all the Halloween theming comes from. However, it also means the events of the game mode aren't actually canon to the main story of the game, as it does take place in a different reality. So does this mean the Treaters aren't useful at all? Well, not quite. This parallel between the two dimensions of the Outdoors actually gives us a ton of lore insight, and that is where the Treaters really start to shine. As you may know, in the normal Outdoors, Sally ran away from Grampy and the groundskeeper, meaning she's practically a missing child to them. In this Halloween universe, though, she never left, and in turn we get to see what happened to the groundskeeper family as a result. For one, Grampy is no longer wearing his scarf, as it was meant to be worn by Sally, so he gave it to her. Additionally, Grampy opened up a family business where you can purchase items. This alternate universe didn't just make everything Halloween themed, it gives us a glimpse into the Doors world if completely different events occurred. This leads us to the Treaters. As I described, the Treaters' main purpose is to give players either candy or a jump scare. However, what's most interesting about them is how they are even in the Outdoors in the first place, as that kinda goes against everything we know about the game so far. Within the main universe of Doors, Treaters are nowhere to be seen. Grampy never mentions them in his dialogue, their houses are gone without a trace. In fact, even their rooms in the hotel, which is where they also reside, are gone within the main game. Something in this Halloween universe must have changed which enabled the survival of this species of entities. However, as to what that is specifically, we don't know. If I had to guess, it might be because of the World Pumpkin, and how that's inherently Halloween themed, so these Halloween entities just sprouted out or something like that. Now, that is definitely something interesting. However, what's even more intriguing is what Grampy has to say about these entities. As I had said, the main timeline of Doors has no Treaters, so Grampy and his family never got to interact with them. Here, the opposite is true, and based on Grampy's dialogue, we can get a closer look as to how these entities behave from a story aspect, not just how they behave gameplay-wise. For one, it seems these entities are mute, or at least don't speak with other people. Not only is this seen through the player's interactions with them, but Grampy also states that he has tried speaking to them but they never respond. This means that this civilization of creatures are reclusive and don't really interact too much with the outside world. A point further proven by how Grampy confirms that they have never left their houses, or at least he's never seen that happen. Grampy even calls it suspicious, and even questions how they manage to get their supply of candy which they give to players, because they never leave their houses to get that candy. Now, that's all relatively surface level information. However, something rather odd Grampy discovered about these entities is that their houses regenerate? Yeah, it's weird. Let's dig into it. As he stated, the groundskeeper, also known as Sunny, tried to harvest resources from a treater house, but the cuts just regrew. If I had to assume, he tried harvesting some of the wood planks for building purposes or something, but as Grampy said, it just regenerated back on the house, which is really strange. Unfortunately, there really isn't an explanation as to why this may be the case. If I had to guess, it may just be a property of the Doors world as a whole, even though this game mode is meant to show us an alternate reality to the main one. The universe of Doors is home to some incredibly strange mechanics, such as the non-existence of elevation as a concept. So I wouldn't be surprised if the regenerating house thing was just a part of the weirdness of this whole universe. Now, something which I haven't really brought up with the treaters is their variety. Unlike most entities in the game, treaters come in all shapes, sizes, and ages. You can find big ones, young ones, creepy ones, and even tiny ones, like children. They represent a broad range of personalities and archetypes. This humanizes the entities in a very odd way, as even though they have such a wide variety of personalities, they all function and behave the exact same as each other. Now, that was basically all the general information about treaters I wanted to go over in today's video. However, there was one rather peculiar variant of the entity I'd like to discuss further. Essentially, as you may know, Timothy isn't an ordinary spider. In fact, he canonically is incredibly intelligent, hence why he named himself Timothy. That was him. A while back, I asked the developers if Timothy was responsible for creating all the spiderwebs seen in the game, and they confirmed that yes, that was the case. However, they also said that it is possible for other spiders to exist within the Doors world, which we have never come across. Since then, I've always wondered if other spiders did exist, but this update proved it. One of the treaters you can find is covered in them, proving more besides Timothy do exist. You can even find spiderwebs throughout the new game mode. Now, keep in mind that this event takes place in an alternate reality to the main game, but I just thought it was an interesting detail. So, to summarize, the treaters are a new group of entities added in the recent Halloween update indoors. They are humanoid creatures that either give you candy or jump scare you upon interacting with the door of their house. Grampy's dialogue proves that they are a reclusive species, who don't really interact with others or leave their houses, and said houses have regenerative properties, so they can never truly be damaged. Those properties are likely the cause of just the weirdness of the Doors world. What's more, treaters come in a variety of shapes, sizes, ages, and personalities, yet despite that, they seemingly all behave the same. Lastly, the existence of a spider-covered treater implies that more spiders besides Timothy exist within the Doors world. Although that may only be true for this parallel Halloween universe, but it is an interesting idea. So, with all of that being said, let me know in the comments what you think of all this, as well as what your own theories are about the treaters and just this update in general. And thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.